The engine is starting up.
Buddy, Jets Gary here, giving you my most productive and most important players for the New York Jets this upcoming season. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. If you've been here before, I love having you. And now let's get on to the list. My first honorable mention, I got the year 2 pass rusher, Will McDonald. Will McDonald didn't really get a lot of snaps last season, but coming into this year, he's going to have a lot of opportunities to play now that Breece Hall walked to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I expect him to be important, but not important enough to make this top 10 list. Number 2, I got a little controversial one because he was a lot of productive for the Philadelphia Eagles last season. It is Haason Reddick. I do think Haason Reddick is very important to this team, but I do not think he is top 10 most important players on this team. But I do think he's going to be very productive this season. Expect him to get around 8 to 10 sacks. As honorable mention, I got Morgan Moses, the newest member of the New York Jets, who is back with the team after playing with the Baltimore Ravens last season. The reason why Morgan Moses is so important is he's a veteran in the offensive line group who wasn't very good last year, and his backups are Karan Warren and Max Mitchell, who are very unproven. The player I have might shock you guys a little bit also. I have Quincy Williams, the All-Pro last season. I do think Quincy Williams is very important to this team, but while we also have CJ Mosley there, that's a 2 stacked linebackers, and CJ often commands what goes on in the huddle or where Quincy has to play. So I feel, in my opinion, even though he had a worse season than Quincy last year, that CJ Mosley is more important to this defense. Honorable mention I have on this list is Michael Carter II. The reason why he's also on the honorable mention list is because I have too many cornerbacks in the top 10, but I do think the New York Jets should re-sign Michael Carter when his contract's up. I think it's a need for this team. Going on to the top 10, at number 10, I have Alijah Vera-Tucker. Yes, AVT has been hurt the first 2 seasons, and the New York Jets still held their own, I would say. Not like they weren't great, but they held their own. But every time that Alijah Vera-Tucker has been injured, this offensive line has not looked the same. So I think AVT is very important to this offensive line, and if he could stay healthy, that's a huge boost to the New York Jets this season. Number 9, I have the $20 million man. I have Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith is very important, even though I have Tyron Smith very low on this list, because we also have Olu Fashanu to be his backup. So we're kind of deep at the left tackle position for the first time in God knows how long. But with Tyron Smith, he is one of the highest paid players on this team, and I expect him to hold it down for Aaron Rodgers this upcoming season. I got a player that is very discredited amongst the NFL, but he is very loved with the New York Jets fans. I have DJ Reed. DJ Reed got snubbed at least 2 times last season, 2 times in a row, last season and the year before that, to become an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler. I think he played up to that level, and he is very essential to the New York Jets this season. Number 7, I have the captain of this defense. I have CJ Mosley. I think CJ Mosley is very important to this defense, and without CJ Mosley leading the charge and hyping up this defense, we wouldn't be as good as we are. So, big credit to CJ Mosley, who is a future Hall of Famer. Number 6, I have another guy who played really, really good last season. I expect him to take another step up with, like I said, the absence of Breece Hall. I have Jermaine Johnson. I expect Jermaine Johnson to be the best edge rusher on this team, even though we have Haason Reddick. I expect Jermaine Johnson to be very, very productive this season, and I can't wait to see what he brings to the table. Round up my top 5. At number 5, I have a running back who really isn't essential to a lot of teams, being one of the most important players on the team, but he is very important to the New York Jets. This is the man who came off an injury and still was very, very productive for us last season and carried us to a bunch of wins. I have Breece Hall. Breece Hall is easily a top 3 to top 5 running back in the NFL, and he's going to show it now with Aaron Rodgers behind the helm. So he's not going to get stacked up to the box, and expect a lot of 100-yard games for him this season. I have the New York Jets' number 1 wide receiver. I have Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson showed so much potential throughout these last 2 seasons with horrible quarterback play. Each and every season, he's had over 1,000 yards, and expect a huge breakout with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Expect maybe a 1,300 to 1,500 yard season and maybe 6 to 8 touchdowns for him. So expect Garrett Wilson to be an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler this season. At number 3, I wouldn't have him usually at 3. If you asked me a couple years ago or a year ago, I would have this man at number 2. it is Quinnen Williams. I think Quinnen Williams, even when the production's not there, he is very important to getting to the quarterback because often he deals with double teams, and usually when it's one-on-one, he beats his guy almost every single time. So Quinnen Williams is number 3 on my list. I got the 2-time All-Pro cornerback. I got Sauce Gardner. Changed this franchise on the defense. He's like the next Revis Island. He is so good. I know nobody could ever be Revis, but if there's anything close to it, it is Sauce Gardner. And I expect Sauce Gardner to be amongst one of the best cornerbacks in NFL history when it's all said and done. Number 1, you guys know who number 1 is. Number 1 is our leader, number 8, Aaron Rodgers. Last season when Aaron Rodgers went down, I was at the game. I have season tickets. The whole stadium was just in gasp and in awe of him getting injured and couldn't believe it. They were just like, this always happens to us as Jets fans. Something bad always happens every single season. And without Aaron Rodgers, we won 7 games. So with Aaron Rodgers here, Aaron Rodgers brings us that ceiling that we have to be great. Aaron Rodgers is the reason why our ceiling is potentially playoffs or the Super Bowl. It's because of number 8 being at quarterback. And I expect number 8 to have a great season and lead us to the promised land. If you guys enjoyed the video, if you disagree with my list, let me know in the comment section below, or I left anybody out in the honorable mentions. I know one player that I left out was Olu Fashanu, and I think Olu is going to have a great impact for us in the near future, but I do not think it's going to be this season. And that's it for me, everybody. I'm Jets Gary, and I'm out. Peace.